Specifically, we're speaking of the recent launch of the Bourryeau Community Market and the upcoming Agri-Fest Night Market. So we are honored to welcome back to Good Morning SKN, Chaira Flanders, head of the Media and Communications Unit, and for the first time, Mr. Ian Chapman, Extension Officer and organizer of the Bourryeau Farmers Market. Welcome to Good Morning SKN.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Good morning. Well, welcome back to us.
Welcome back. Yes.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. Well, you know what? We're eager to talk to you because we know that the Department of Agriculture, well, obviously, we're talking about the Bourryeau Night Market, and we want to know whether it was the initiative of the Department of Agriculture, first of all, or whether it was the community that was responsible for the initial idea to have the Bourryeau Market. What can you tell us about that, Mr. Chapman?
Well, it's a combination of both, as we can say. As we can date back, back to when the whole COVID situation came on stream and the government at the time decided, that all vendors had to be, in one vicinity. And then they had this vending committee. Of course, agriculture had a representation on that committee, and then what they would have seen that instead of having all of those persons now clustering one environment, why don't we empower the communities around St. Kitts and Nevis? So even though the launch of the Bourryeau Community Market is just the first of many more to come, at least we have at least 3 or 4 more initiatives like this we're planning for this year to come on stream.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned the initiatives that will come in stream. When the market opened on the 2nd of June, what was it like? What was the reception like with the locals and everyone around?
Of course, anytime we have an event, it's always a tremendous reception from the community and public. And I would like to continue to thank the general public for their continued support of all the vendors and farmers that they continue to support and buy our local produce here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right, well, I want to tease some information from you because generally when people say things like that, there's always more. So you said there are some other initiatives. What can you tell us? If you are allowed to tell us.
It looks like it's a secret.
Unless it's top secret.
No, it's not top secret, but of course, as you can see, and it's just one of my colleagues just this morning reminded me, it seems as though every month the Department and Ministry of Agriculture is having an initiative, a new launch of something. Yes. I don't want to really go into too much of depth just to just to let the general public know, just look forward to each and every month you will hear from the Ministry of Agriculture with something, a new initiative that we would help in either our farmers or our vendors throughout to help with their marketing opportunities.
Well, that's all I'm going to get, so that's what I'll have to be content with.
Yes. It is top secret. So Chaira, what is it about the night markets and what can we expect from this one since it's a new market set?
Okay, so I don't even feel like Mr. Chapman went into full details here, but I can tell you because I was exhausted. So I could tell you it was very much overwhelming in the best way. The Bourryeau Community Vendor Market, it was sort of a test for maybe night markets to come, because that area may possibly one of the areas that we can use to host the night market as well. We've been hosting it in the Bastia Public Market from, I think, since 2021.
Yeah, December 2021.
It's been a year. Oh, wow. Okay.
A year plus.
It's a year plus.
A year plus. Actually,
time is flying.
December will be 2 years.
Yeah, December would be the second time that we would have had our
second anniversary.
The second anniversary of the Agri Christmas Night Market. But we are trying as much as possible to keep them on a quarterly basis because, Lord, monthly is going to exhaust.
Yeah, the demand and actually demand from the general public and the vendors, they need this every month.
Yes, it's the truth is, the good thing about it is, and I don't mind being and feeling tired for a cause like this, because what I have noticed is the more that we have these types of events, these types of initiatives, the more we see young people wanting to be involved, and the more we have noticed more vendors are coming on board, you know, the word gets out, hey, did you go to the last night market? Yes, I went and I sold all my eggs. You know, maybe the eggs were there for quite some time. And so that was the opportunity for those persons to actually ply their trade and make a living, because who knows, that's probably the only job that they have. And so we want to make sure that these people continue to market their goods, their services, and promote everything that is local. I also want to add, before we get in trouble, that the Bourryeau Community Vendor Market is a joint collaboration between the Ministry of Agriculture,
And
Fisheries and Marine Resources and the Ministry of Sustainable Development.
Okay.
Yes, so it's a joint collaboration, and that's the reason why we could tell you that there is actually more to come. So we're actually having discussions, high-level discussions, to ensure that the various areas around the island do not feel left out. So there is more to come.
So there seems to be a great demand for
There is.
markets.
Who knew that so many people needed to eat local fruits, vegetables? I mean, I don't know. I really did not expect the type of response that we got. I mean, I expect it to be successful, yes, but I did not expect that it would get to this point. And, you know, I want to use this opportunity to really thank Mr. Chapman and the entire committee at the Ministry of Agriculture for consistently focusing and making the effort to see how else we can improve the lives of these people, because that has really been the main focus, the vendors and the farmers.
So I want to know, why is sustainable development in this particular collaboration, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, why are they not in the others?
Okay, so the collab between the Ministry of Sustainable Development and the Ministry of Agriculture for the Bourryeau Community Vendor Market. This is because at the time when the whole establishment of ensuring that vendors have a place to, you know, to go and to ply their trade, the Ministry of Sustainable Development, they were also a part of the members
of the planning committee, actually the chair,
the planning committee.
Mr. Jeff Farrier, he's
Yes.
from the Department of Physical Planning, which falls in the Ministry of Sustainable Development. And basically, if you to understand Ministry of Sustainable Development, they control or they manage all the entire lands within the St. Kitts and Nevis. So it must be a collaborated effort between them and physical planning, because we have to make sure that the spaces that we are putting down these vending sites to be, they are suitable and don't cause any obstruction to traffic, so we have to make sure that it's a whole planning thing. We can't just be haphazard and say, okay, then we
Get
want to
up
put
and
down
decide.
down here and this basic. So you got to look at the whole efforts. You go now, is this a community that, the number of persons within this community, would this now be sustainable for these vendors now to shop? So you have to get all those kind of information from physical planning. So we can't just say, okay, then tomorrow we're going to put down a booth in, just calling out of my head, in Challengers. And then when you look, the going to Challengers is always a obstacle with traffic. So no, that is not a good idea. So we have to have
It's
that
a process,
collaboration between the Ministry of Sustainable Development and the Ministry of Agriculture. So make sure that we empower and make sure we make the right decisions for the best interest of the country.
So Ian, back to you again. What is your role as an extension officer?
Extension. Well, I'm not just an extension officer.
Okay.
I am actually the head of the whole crop division. So it incorporates extension, quarantine, engineering, marketing, agro-processing, our feral control unit, and I could go at least 3 or 4 other units that thing. So, but my role mainly as an extension officer primarily is to ensure and empower to make sure that the farmers and any other stakeholder that is involved in agriculture get the good service and technical support that they are to, and being that voice between the farmers and back to the ministry. So it's like almost you are the middle person. So you take that policy jargon and you break it down into the context that the farmers and the personals on the grounds will understand, and then you take what the farmers jargon and now you have to delay it to the policymakers. This is what our farmers are experiencing and this is what they would need, and they have to help them now to shape and form the policies that will guide and make sure that the thing. So the extension officers are almost like the engine and the driving force behind all of the production that you will see and almost all of the initiatives that you will see that is ongoing. They are the ones that don't really make the face, but they are the ones behind the scene that keeps mostly me and you fed.
Okay, well, I'm glad I got to see the behind the scenes man today.
Yes.
Yeah, you are the machinery.
I dragged
Clearly.
him.
So let's talk about some of what you said, because you did say a lot, and I would like you to touch on some of it, particularly the marketing aspect, any other aspect that you think would give us a greater insight into how important agriculture is and how effective, you are at making that connectivity between regular consumers and vendors.
Well, as could lead to the Bourryeau Night, the Bourryeau Vendors Market is one of the initiatives.
Fruits and vegetables.
Agri-Night Market
Agri-Night Market.
is another initiative. Of course, even the recent initiative of the opening the public market almost on a daily basis, and all of those initiatives that we continue to think, even up to a week ago, P.S. Collins would have called me, Ian, we have to find a new initiative that will help with the marketing strategy and get some of these things. One of the things that if you can see in terms of maybe even buying local and producing, if you look at most of the major economies around the world, agriculture is basically one of their main pillars. And still, like if you speak to Holland and Brazil and Argentina, I could just go on and on and on. But if you look at these countries and you look at one of their main staples, that you can see agriculture is their mainstay basically of their economies.
Just a follow-up question on that. I think it was yesterday we were having another discussion about standards. We talked about export and how important it is for our vendors to be able to export their products. Is that something that is being worked on? Is that something that has been done? If so, to what extent?
Well, yes, to some extent. Our farmers continue to export to nearby islands. Of course, the Tortola, St. Martin, St. Eustatia, and those islands. If we have to, before we could think about export, we must be able to self-sustain ourselves. One of the initiatives that we must make sure that we are able to feed ourselves, food security. Because if we can't, even though we may have to bring in some of the other items but we must be able to show that, and one thing that COVID-19 would have taught us, that, hey, we must make sure that at least a basic meal that we can get from within our own economy or within our own country, that we can sustain ourselves. Even if it's just going back to the roots now, breadfruit and a piece of yam and sweet potato, hey, that is what we have to eat, that is what we have to eat. Of course, I'm no disrespect to some of the other persons who want to eat a little more elegantly, but of course, if we really have to look, and other countries are really looking into this, their own food security, and you're really seeing the call for more and drive more into the agricultural sector, and it's really becoming a major, not a challenge, but I would say, something that will drive me and my team to ensure that we have this focus to continue to ensure that our country is fed and fed wholesomely, and so that persons are eating fresh and wholesome food, because we know the benefits of eating, and the Ministry of Health could tell you here, and more than I can, the whole benefits of eating fresh produce. Because as you would hear, when you eat the produce that are grown here, they are more fresh compared to those what we receive from overseas, because we don't even know how long they are being stored and things. And then look at it, from Miami to St. Kitts on tropical shipping, it takes another week on the ocean in a chilled refrigerated container. Basically, some of these things that, hey, even if from your backyard, you could just pick them fresh and go right into your kitchen and think that nutritional value that you think, hey, maybe they even look like one of the things we'll look at our four parents.
Okay.
Look at how much centurions we'd have had back in the days and things. And even, no disrespect, I don't even think that they would have had so much communicable diseases around them times, because mostly what stuff they would have been eating. So I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. But it's really, I would say, and I would encourage as much as possible that persons that eat fresh and eat buy local and support our farmers and vendors, because what you're doing actually is building our economy. The money is actually staying within our economy and continue to help and build. Is now empowering Chaira now to go and buy something else and buy something, able to send her children to school and these kind of things. You're really empowering our citizens when you actually support, and not just even the agricultural sector, but across each and every sector that it is. So you continue to build our own economies. And
So in that same vein though, do you think that buy local, eat local, support local, do you think we have enough to feed all the locals?
not at this time.
Not right now, but
So
we're
that's
getting
something-
there.
We are getting there. It's an
We're
initiative
getting
that
there.
we are currently working. I know my policy and the policy and planning unit, they are working on that, and they continue to look at the figures of the imports and the production level, and it could even advise and say, Mr. Chapman, we are only meeting 10% of this need. We need initiatives that we can spike and increase production levels so that we can continue to even reduce these margins. If we look at what CARICOM is charged with by 2025 is to reduce imports by 25%. So these are all initiatives that we have on our table so that we can now do our part to ensure that we reduce these imports by 2025. So as I said,
You are working and we appreciate that indeed.
Definitely working indeed. Chaira, I want you to share with us the vendor registration information, that process, for someone who might say, you know what, I want to register for the Agri-Night Market Fest.
Yes, okay, so we didn't really get to touch too much on it because we were so deep into the importance of eating local food, and of course, we have to touch on that. But I just want persons to know and understand that this is something that is quarterly. However, this time around, this is the Agri-Fest Night Market, and we are focusing on everything that is local. And so my team and I, we've decided we're going to incorporate local music, local talent into this particular event, and we're going to have local food, local drinks. We have Ruckus HE who is going to be performing. We have Nature B who is going to be performing. We have Unstoppable Sounds, Firehouse Sounds as well. You know, so we have quite the lineup. Exactly, we have quite the lineup this time around. And for those persons who are running late with registration, you still have the opportunity to go and get your registration forms at the Department of Agriculture, that's at Lagreet, at the Ministry of Agriculture, located in Government Headquarters, 3rd floor, at the Bastia Public Market, and at the Department of Marine Resources. So you have no excuses whatsoever. Go and grab your registration forms and get registered for the Agri-Fest Night Market. Now, when I say that this one is going to be mind-blowing, this one is definitely going to be off the books, because we've been trying so hard to figure out how else can we convince persons that this is something that's just not going to be the same old thing that's been happening. You're very wrong if you're thinking that. You are very wrong, because this time around, we want you to feel entertained while you are shopping for your local good. You know how good it feels to know that I'll be listening to music from a local artist while I'm picking up my grafted mangoes?
Yes.
And if I'm to add, while we are at the fest, actually free to the general public.
Okay. Yes, it
so
is.
You're actually getting a little fest.
Yes, before the fest.
Before the fest.
Yes,
Free.
it is everything. It really is. It's the free fest before the fest, you know?
Yes, yes.
So we want to make sure that we get as many persons as possible to come on out and support your local vendors, support your farmers as well, support your fishers, and especially our agro-processors, because these are the people who take the products that you see that you may feel like, you know what, the mango is wasted. You know, let's throw that away.
Turn them into
They
something.
take that and they turn it into something magical, something delicious, something that you probably never even knew could be made from those products and the fruits and vegetables. And so we really want to let the agro-processors know you too are invited. We want you to be there, because we had some people last year who were, I think, at the Agri-Fest Night Market selling honey, and I didn't even realize that we had people selling the local honey. And I was hunting for the honey. No offense to those persons who use the regular honey, but I have to boast my local honey here.
It's the best.
I didn't see any expiration date on the local honey, and that was good for me.
I like that.
Okay, so I made sure to go and get as much of the honey as possible, because you want to drizzle it on your oatmeal and stuff in the mornings. Of course, come on, Mr. Chapman, come on, you better keep up.
I have to ask you this. So we said, I heard you say it was quarterly. Very quickly, are there any dates set for this? You said it's fest before the fest.
Yes. So the Agri-Fest Night Market is Wednesday, June 15th, and it starts at 5 p.m. at the Bastille Public Market.
I think we could get them the US dates.
I mean, if we tell them no, I won't be able to come back and disturb them.
Let's
So
take the teaser, since you got away with it as well, Mr.
Yes.
Chapman. So we'll take it for now. But we want to thank you for coming by and sharing
thank
with
you so
us
much.
such valuable information.
But
Yes.
just to add before we close, that registration actually closes on the 13th, Monday the 13th.
Yes.
So you have today, tomorrow, Sunday, possible Monday.
Okay.
Okay, so you're
Yes.
still in time.
Yeah.
Still some time to register and think, because after Monday 4 p.m. we close this
close, okay.
registration.
registration is closed. Yes. So we
Okay,
want to make
so-
sure that you get there today.